Davey, thanks for joining us on G&D. How are you? How's the warm weather of Florida treating you?
Hey, what's up, guys? Man, it's been great out here. I left in the nick of time in Nashville. It got down in the negative, so I'm happy to be here. Happy to get started.
Good deal, man. What's it like just seeing the boys again? How are you viewing last year? Because there's some good. Juan Soto hit 1 million. Trea Turner was unbelievable. And then some guys didn't have the kind of years that they would want. How do you view last year? If it's good, emphasize it. If it's not, let's not talk about it.
Hey, no, for me, we learned a lot about our season last year. For the most part, you said, Trea had an unbelievable year. Juan, was incredible. We had some injuries. We got things taken care of. Strasburg had an injury. We were able to get it taken care of, and he's back. He's healthy. He looks really good. So, what I talked today to the boys about putting 2020 on the back burner and starting fresh and kind of having some kind of normalcy inside of our camp. With that being said, we all know what's going on in the world. It's tough to forget about. While we step into that clubhouse and step on that field, let's remember that we're here to play baseball and to have fun, and hopefully we all stay safe.
Davey, I want to start with the rotation with you, and we'll stick with the big three for a moment. Max has been so dominant, so reliable as a Cy Young candidate for years. Last couple of seasons, now he's in the final year of the 7-year deal, getting closer to 40. It's shown a little bit more of a human side where he does get banged up. He does miss some starts. You mentioned Strauss only pitched a couple innings for you. Patrick Corbin last year went from being one of the best lefties in baseball to giving up the most hits in the league. Give me an idea of your confidence just in those three guys getting back to where they need to be. And then if you would give me a thought just on last year and maybe what went off the rails a little bit, because you're going to go as far as they take you, obviously.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you're talking about our three horses that we have. I really, looking back at last year, I think that the stoppage, we got them cranked up. We had to stop. There was a lot of uncertainties. All of a sudden, we come back on spring training 2.0. I think a lot of that had to do with their routines and what they're used to doing, and it was tough to get going. Towards the end of the year last year, I started seeing Patrick's velo come back up. I started seeing Max, his intensity, his velo go back up, and then obviously Strasburg getting hurt. So I'm looking forward to watching these guys come to spring training, have some kind of normalcy, have a regular spring training, and get started on time, and get ready for opening day.
Davey, on paper, this is the best bullpen I can remember this club has had. I'd love for you to go into that. A lot of guys with closing experience. How are you planning on maybe defining some roles, or is it just game by game? It sounds like you got a lot of guys that want to pull the rope in the same direction there.
Definitely. I talk to these guys individually a lot. I talked to Brad Ham when we signed him. These guys want to win. That's all they're worried about, and he said most of these guys from the 7th inning on, they said they're going to be readily available, and that's kind of nice. What I do like, Riz and I talked a lot this winter about depth. And as you know, we have that now, and that's kind of nice because in order to win a championship, you're going to use tons of guys. Guys are going to go down, and I feel like now we got some depth in our bullpen that can help us, whether it's the beginning of the season or early season, mid-season, late season. So that's nice to have these guys here.
Dave Martinez, manager of the Nationals, with us on Grant and Danny, your flagship home for Nats baseball. You can hear every game all season long right here with Charlie Slows and Dave Jagler on the Fan. Davey, I want to get into the bullpen a little more. Do you still believe in a closer, a setup man, maybe a righty and a lefty setup man, the traditional way of going through a season with a bullpen? We've seen how you manage in the playoffs, and I think it's how you have to manage. There is no roles. You just kind of throw the guy out there and ride him as far as you can, and it helped win a World Series. But you can't do that for 162, as you know. I mean, do you believe in a closer? Like, is Rainey, is Hand both competing for that role, or is it just a fireman? Whoever's best against lefties, whoever's best in this role is going to get the call. How are you going to do this?
Yeah, in a perfect world, you want to have put these guys in roles, definitely. Especially early on in the season. But I've had many conversations with these guys, and we talk a lot about, hey, there may be a situation, in a high leverage situation in a close game where Brad Hand in the 8th inning has to pitch against, some of their better hitters, the middle of their lineup, against lefties. So we could do things that way. And then we have, the Rainey's and the Hudsons and the Will Harrises that could finish the ninth. So we're going to really hone in on different things and how we want to treat this thing. I know that, the back end of our bullpen looks really good and really strong. So we just want to get them started, build their innings up and get them ready for the season. But I think these guys are ready for anything. Like I said, after talking to them, they're ready. They're ready to pitch whenever they need them. So that's always good to know, and that's always good to have in your pocket.
Davey, I know it's incredibly early, but also knowing you've been scribbling these things down on cocktail napkins in the offseason and texting Riz ideas. Who's going to hit behind Juan Soto? What sort of lineup things have you kind of envisioned to protect the kid?
Oh gosh, I wake up and in the mornings I dream about our lineup and seeing the Turners, the Sotos, the Bell, Schwarber, Starlin. I mean, pretty strong. So I definitely put a bunch of lineups together. We talked about maybe giving Robles an opportunity to lead off and being able to push those other guys back. That could be nice, so how we're going to work it, it's still up in the air, but what I do like is we have some options, and like I said, we got some guys that can protect Soto, even though I really feel like he's such a good hitter, he doesn't need any protection. But we do have some guys that can drive in some runs, behind him or in front of him. So that's good.
Davey, I got to tell you, I whittle the lineup out on my own napkins as well. I don't have the power to actually make it happen like you do. But I do that sometimes, and I've never come up with Robles at the top of the order. When I first hear that, my thought is, great idea to try to get him going. I mean, he is a massive ingredient this year. You have to get more out of him in his age 23 season. I mean, you may not use the term sink or swim, but this is kind of the year where he's got to show he is who we think he is. Maybe the best way to get him going might be to put him at the top of the lineup, but there's some risk there. He hit 220 with a 293 on base last year. That doesn't work at the top of the order. What are you thinking with Robles as a number one guy in a lineup? Take us into that.
Well, he's a guy that could get on base, steal bases, get things going. He worked really hard to revamp his swing over the wintertime. We talked to him a lot about just putting the ball in play, taking his walks, accepting his walks, and getting on base. For him, it's all about hitting doubles. I mean, his kid's strong enough to hit home runs. We know that. He hit 17, and they'll come. We want him to swing at balls in the strike zone a little bit more. He chases a lot of balls outside the strike zone. And I think, possibly by leading him off and getting him up there early, that he's going to get pitches to hit, and that might help him a little bit. Against left-handed pitching, he's actually not that bad. He works good at bats, hits the ball well. So we could do something like that as well. Let him lead off against lefties, and maybe possibly let Schwarber lead off against righties. Who knows? I mean, I've thrown all of this stuff around. Our analytical guys are looking at different possibilities of how this could work. But like I said, we got a lot of options. The other thing is let Trea just do what he does and lead off. But if I can move Trea to 2 or 3, I would like that a lot. I mean, Trea's matured a lot as far as a hitter, and I think he'd be good in the 2 or 3 hole.
Presumably, you move him down. That means Soto would still be behind him. So, like if he's hitting third, maybe Soto's batting cleanup at that point, or would he be second? Where are you seeing that?
I would see Soto probably batting cleanup. Yeah.
Okay.
So it depends. Like I said, it all depends if we get a couple guys up there.
Sure, makes sense. You're trying to get guys on base so that when he hits at 500 feet, it matters a little more. Right. It makes a lot of sense. How about the 2 new additions, if you could get into those guys? Schwarber from your time in Chicago. Josh Bell, at one point in time, was an all-star, hit almost 40 home runs. Did you guys do enough, do you think, to go from wherever you were offensively last year, which wasn't satisfactory for you or Mike or anybody else, to where you need to be? Do you think those guys get you there?
I really believe so. I do. I mean, we looked at these guys. We sat down in the wintertime. We write so many things down on paper and guys that we turn in the list, and Mike and I talk about different guys that could possibly be available. And, we talked about, possibly acquiring Josh Bell, who's a switch hitter. Like you said, he had a monster year, was an all-star. Last year, I put nothing into last year. But we feel like we got a qualified middle lineup guy that's going to hit home runs, that's going to put the ball play and drive in runs, which is really nice. I didn't know him. You know, I knew of him. I watched him play. I love this kid's attitude. I really do. I mean, he's everything you want in that clubhouse and on that field, man. He just wants to win. He's hungry. This is a breath of fresh air for him. So we're excited to watch him go out there and compete every day. Schwarber, who I've known for a very long time, just a flat out winner. I mean, he loves the game. He loves to compete. He wants to win every day. He doesn't care where he hits in the lineup. He just wants to help this team win. And when you get guys like that, guys that have that kind of energy, man, it's fun to watch them out there play every day and communicate with other players. These guys, like I said, these guys were sought after when Schwarber got non-tendered. It was basically a quick text to Riz, Schwarber, and Riz got on it and we got it done. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty sweet. Dave Martinez with us here on Grant and Danny. Dave, the curse of success a little bit. If you guys were going to lose 110 games, you just say, Carter, you're the third baseman, kick it around, swing, do whatever the hell you want. You'll get better. You're the future. But you guys are competing for divisions, for championships coming off of 2019. How do you balance that, especially knowing that you got Starlin Castro, position flexibility there, and Luis Garcia, I thought, showed really well last year, give you an option there at second to move guys around. How do you treat Carter this year? And, is that your guy to start with? How long a leash does he have? Go into Carter Kieboom a little bit for me.
Yeah, we value Carter a lot. I mean, here's a guy that for us, he was one of he still is our top prospect, regardless of, and he had a rough go at it in the big leagues, but I talk to Riz a lot, and we talk about some of the really good players that struggled in the big leagues their first 50, 75 games. They didn't give up on them. I always I mentioned before, my first 52 games in the big leagues I hit 139. I thought I had a pretty good career, so I'm not going to give up on Carter. I'm not. I said that before. I tell him all the time, hey, you're our third baseman until you prove me otherwise. You're going to go out there and you're going to compete and just go out there and have fun. And, I truly believe he can do it. I really do. And so far, he's gotten here early. He's taken some ground balls. He's been hitting. He's another guy to revamp the swing a little bit. But he looks great. I mean, he put on a couple pounds of muscle, but he's moving really well over at third base. We talked a lot. Bogey talked to him a lot about getting a little quicker on his feet, and he really took it to heart. He did it, and he looks really, really good. I mean, we talked about him today, how we see how the work paid off for him this winter, and hopefully he carries it over. We start these games, and he continues to develop.
Davey, we had Jon Lester on the show. He's one of my favorite dudes in baseball for many, many years, and just a gamer. And he talked about wanting to come here to be paired up with you again. But if you look at the numbers over the last few seasons, it's no surprise as he gets older, he's not what he was many years ago. How much does he have left in the tank? What are your expectations for Jon Lester this year?
For me, I just want Jon to be Jon. He knows that. Hey, he competes. He takes the ball. You're going to get 180 innings from the guy plus. So that's what I love about Jon Lester. He wants the ball. He wants to help his club win. And he's going to compete. We talk a lot about, he always mentions how his velo ain't what he used to be, but he knows how to pitch. He's smart. And I think with reuniting with Hickey here, Hickey can help him. We got to get him to pitch down in the zone. We did a lot of work where, we felt like, he was up in his zone a little bit the last couple of years. We got to get him back down in that zone where he's really good. I mean, his cutter's good. His two-seamer's good. His curveball's really, really good. So we just got to get him down the zone consistently, and I think he's going to help us win a lot of games.
After Lester, that fifth starter spot, a couple guys competing for that. How do you see that race going right now? And just kind of give us a state of the union there.
Yeah, but I mean, they all look good. Joe Ross came in with a little chip on his shoulder. He missed last year. He's so excited to be back. He didn't realize how much he'd missed the game, but he's excited to be here. Both you had a rough go last year. He's coming back with a vengeance. And Fetty, who I thought last year towards the end he really started pitching really good. So those three guys are going to compete for that fifth starter spot. And we'll see what happens. Look, whoever wins the job early, that doesn't mean we won't use the other guys, as you guys well know. I mean, these guys have not pitched a whole lot. They haven't built their innings up, so they're all going to be used somehow, some way. But what I do like is they're going to compete, and they're ready to compete, and we'll see what happens at the end of spring.
And I think that's a theme all over baseball this year too, Davey, because you're not going from a full season of 200+ innings that you're building on for guys. I mean, everyone's much lower than they used to be. The average starter in baseball was as a median, right around 170 innings, and now it's much lower than that. So you may need more starters to get through the season. It's funny. In baseball, we keep hearing that there's only a certain amount of teams that are trying to win right now. You wouldn't know it looking at the NL East. This is an absolute juggernaut with the Mets, the Braves, you guys all vying for this division title. The Marlins made the playoffs last year. The Phillies have spent a lot of money. It's not going to be easy, but that should make it even more fun, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I talk about a lot with my coaching staff, but we got to come ready every day. We got to bring it every day. I mean, our division's really good, and we play these guys a bunch. So we got to be ready for it. With that being said, my focus is not on anybody else but us. And we got to prepare and get ready from day one. I often joke around, but I tell the guys every day, hey, I want to be May 1st ready come April 1st. So we're going to get a lot of work in and get ready to go.
David, love it, man. This is awesome because we're talking about Nationals baseball, dude. I cannot wait for the season. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
You guys got it. Anytime.
See you soon in person, not through these computer screens, too. It'll be nice.
That's right.
Dave Martinez, the manager of the Nationals.
I'm losing my eyesight with all this stuff.
I know. Too much screen time. We're all dealing with it.
Right?
Appreciate you, Davey. Be well.
All right.
Grant and Danny on 106.7 The Fan, getting you ready for the start of Nationals season.